Same recording. So on this auspicious day, we start this chapter 17. So appropriate. Three divisions of faith. It's also called Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga. And the acronym is faith. Before we start, I'll offer my obeisances to my Guruji, His Grace Gaur Vilas Prabhuji, Sukumar Krishna Prabhuji, and my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. And I also offer my obeisances and seek all your blessings from the audience so that I can speak and do justice to this chapter. Thank you very much for joining this session. Let's start by offering our prayers. I will say the first line, then you can repeat after me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So with this prayer, we start with a quick recap of what we studied in chapter 16 over the last two classes. The chapter title is Divine and Demoniac, and the acronym is DOG. So Krishna teaches us and Arjuna in the first 6 verses what are the 26 divine qualities. Then he defines 6 key demoniac qualities. The second lesson is he gives us a detailed description over 13 verses where he talks about what is this demoniac nature, what is their opinion, what is the outlook, and what makes them different from a divine person. The last lesson is, last 3 verses, he tells us how do we become free from demoniac qualities. All these are inherent in us. All that we need to do is try to enhance the divine qualities and reduce the demoniac qualities. And he says, this is a choice that we have to make as an individual. Nobody can help us. And if you make the choice and you want to be in the divine mode, then what is your characteristic? You have faith in scriptures. So divine is faith in scriptures and demoniac is no faith in scriptures. That's one way of understanding. Second way of understanding as a layman is divine. I can't remember all the 26 qualities, but I will remember this as I want to please Krishna. That's the simple line of a divine person. He doesn't have any other objective. And what that one line which will distinguish a demoniac person? He says, I want to enjoy. I have come into this world, one life, let me enjoy. So this is the significant difference between the two, and that's how we can easily understand and relate to them. We start chapter 17. The acronym is faith. What is faith? F. F stands for faith and worship. Very, very interesting 7 verses. What is faith? We'll come to know as we go through. Then A. A stands for aspects of life. And what does it cover under aspects? You'll be, Krishna tells Arjuna that how we can identify one's faith. And he gives the description on food, on sacrifice, yajna, on tapa, austerity in the verses up to 19. C is charity, dana, gift of giving. We will be covering this in the next class. And then E, most important part of this session of this chapter is Om Tat Sat. All works of sacrifice, austerity, charity are to please Krishna. This is how this chapter is laid out. Now, we have to first go through and understand what is the link between 16th chapter and 17th chapter. So the last 2 verses are the seed verses for this chapter. So in 16.23, Krishna says, if you have no faith in scripture, you are demoniac. In 16.24, he says, if you have faith in scriptures, you are divine. So this becomes the seed verse for this chapter. What is the starting of this chapter? Now, there are 2 extremes that Krishna has talked about. He says, if you have faith, you are divine. If you have no faith, you are demoniac. Now, Arjuna is a very, very intelligent student. And he asked such an intelligent question. He says, well, Krishna, what happens if you have faith, but you are not following the scriptures? Where do I place them? How do I understand them? This is how this chapter kicks off. And this is a very important question for all of us too. Because we also don't know how do we make a choice on whom to choose as our guru. We don't know that. And thanks to this question, Krishna speaks the whole chapter, which gives the philosophical background of what is faith and how we can understand faith. And faith is uh, very nicely defined. Here it says, faith, you see the invisible, you believe in the unbelievable, and you receive the impossible. So there are many definitions of faith. This is one of them. And before I really start off the chapter, I wanted to share this very important video, this 2 minutes video. Let's all listen to this. This is in Hindi. In case if someone does not understand Hindi, if you can send me a message, then I'll translate this in English at the end of the chapter.
ಶ್ಯಾಮ ಆಡಿಯೋ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ?
ಸೌಂಡ್ ಏನು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದ್ರದ್ದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಮಾತ್ರ.
Okay. 1 second. Why it is not coming? Optimize for video clip. Stereo.
भक्त और भगवान का संबंध कितना अटूट होता है,
बता दे।
अंदर वृतांत से जान जाएंगे। एक बार की बात है, एक संत जगन्नाथ पुरी से मथुरा की ओर आ रहे थे। उनके पास बड्ढे सुंदर ठाकुर जी थे। वे संत उन ठाकुर जी को हमेशा साथ ही लिए रहते थे और बड़े प्रेम से उनकी पूजा अर्चना कर लाड़ लड़ाया करते थे। ट्रेन से यात्रा करते समय बाबा ने ठाकुर जी को अपने बगल की सीट पर रख दिया और अन्य संतों के साथ हरि चर्चा में मग्न हो गए। जब ट्रेन रुकी और सब संत उतरे, तब वे सत्संग में इतने मग्न हो चुके थे कि झोला गाड़ी में ही रह गया, उसमें रखे ठाकुर जी भी वहीं गाड़ी में रह गए। संत सत्संग की मस्ती में भावों में ऐसा बहे कि ठाकुर जी को साथ लेकर आना ही भूल गए। बहुत देर बाद जब उस संत के आश्रम पर सब संत पहुंचे और भोजन प्रसाद पाने का समय आया, तो उन प्रेमी संत ने अपने ठाकुर जी को खोजा और देखा कि हाय, हमारे ठाकुर जी तो हैं ही नहीं। संत बहुत व्याकुल हो गए, बहुत रोने लगे, परंतु ठाकुर जी मिले नहीं। उन्होंने ठाकुर जी के वियोग में अन्न जल लेना स्वीकार नहीं किया। संत बहुत व्याकुल अपने ठाकुर जी को पुकार कर रोने लगे। तब उनके एक पहचान के संत ने कहा, देता हूं, परंतु जिनको हम अब तक।
ब्रेक आता है।
तभी एक दूसरे संत ने पूछा, आपने उन्हें कहाँ रखा था? मुझे तो लगता है गाड़ी में ही छूट गए होंगे। एक संत बोले, अब कई घंटे बीत गए हैं, गाड़ी से किसी ने निकाल लिए होंगे और फिर गाड़ी भी बहुत आगे निकल चुकी होगी। इस पर वह संत बोले, मैं वहां जाकर स्टेशन मास्टर से बात करना चाहता हूं। सब संत उन महात्मा को लेकर स्टेशन पहुंचे। स्टेशन मास्टर से मिले और ठाकुर जी के गुम होने की शिकायत करने लगे। उन्होंने पूछा कि कौन सी गाड़ी में आप बैठकर आए थे? संतों ने गाड़ी का नाम स्टेशन मास्टर को बताया तो वह कहने लगा, महाराज, कई घंटे हो गए, यही वाली गाड़ी ही तो यहाँ खड़ी डीडी ही हो गई है और किसी प्रकार भी आगे नहीं बढ़ रही है। न कोई खराबी है, न अन्य कोई दिक्कत। कई सारे इंजीनियर सब कुछ चेक कर चुके हैं, परंतु कोई खराबी दिखती है नहीं। महात्मा जी बोले, अब भी आगे बढ़ेगी, मेरे बिना मेरे प्यारे कहीं अन्यत्र कैसे चले जाएंगे? वे महात्मा अंदर ट्रेन के डिब्बे के अंदर गए और ठाकुर जी वहीं रखे हुए थे जहां महात्मा ने उन्हें विराजित किया था। अपने ठाकुर जी को महात्मा ने गले लगाया और जैसे ही महात्मा जी उतरे, गाड़ी आगे बढ़ने लग गई। ट्रेन का चालक, स्टेशन मास्टर तथा सभी इंजीनियर सभी आश्चर्य में पड़ गए और बाद में उन्होंने जब यह पूरी लीला सुनी तो वे गदगद हो गए। उसके बाद वे सभी जो वहां उपस्थित, उन सभी ने अपना जीवन संत और भगवंत की सेवा में लगा दिया। भक्तो भगवान जी भी खुद कहते हैं ना, भक्त जहां मम पग धरे तहां धरूं में हाथ, सदा संग लाग्यो फिरूं, कबहू न छोड़ूं साथ। मत तोला कर इबादत को अपने हिसाब से, ठाकुर जी की रहमतें देखकर अक्सर तराजू टूट जाते हैं। प्रभु भक्ति हमारी आत्मा का उत्सव है। प्रभु की भक्ति यानी प्रभु से एकमयता, तन्मयता, भगवान की भक्ति करते करते भक्त क्षीर नीर की तरह एक हो जाता है। दूध और पानी दोनों भिन्न द्रव्य हैं, परंतु ये दोनों जब एक साथ मिल जाते हैं तब एक रस हो जाते हैं। उसी प्रकार भक्त और भगवान का भी दूध और पानी जैसा संबंध है। उन्होंने कहा, भक्त और भगवान के साथ एकमेकता का संबंध जोड़ ढाने के लिए परम आलंबन कोई हो तो वह भक्ति है। कृपया वीडियो देखने के
So this is a very, very apt story which talks about faith. And he ends by saying, it is like milk and water. Once you mix them, you can never separate them. Similarly, if we have faith, what is all of us have faith? We will see how Krishna describes this. Then, what are the types of faith? And how do we recognize what faith we have? A very, very phenomenal explanation from Krishna on this important topic of faith. And just to give you an idea as to how the flow is, Krishna talks about 5 different behavioral aspects of faith. So all of us have faith, and all of that can be studied, can be understood from these 5 aspects. One is faith itself, Shraddha. Food. You will be surprised to note that even the food that we consume tells us about our faith. Yajna, sacrifice. What sacrifice we are willing to conduct, offer to the Lord, that also defines our faith. Austerity and charity. So these 5 behavioral aspects are described by Krishna to Arjuna in detail to tell him and establish these signs of faith. So it is very, very fascinating. We feel, oh, well, what is faith? After you go through this chapter, you say that, wow, this is a real deep understanding. So we start off with the first lesson, that is faith and worship. I have shown you this. Faith is this, when you sow the seed, it grows into a large tree. So we should be very careful as to what seed we plant within ourselves. One is what we are doing in this life. And as we see in the subsequent verses, Krishna also tells most of it is coming from your Purva Janma. Let's look at the first verse, and Arjuna starts with a question. And what an intelligent question. Arjuna uvacha ye shastra vidimustrujya yajante shradhayan vitaha tesam nishtatu ka Krishna sattvam aho rajastamaha. Arjuna is inquiring, what about unauthorized worship? Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow principles of scripture, but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? Very simple, straightforward verse. This was the same line that Krishna used in the 16th chapter, 23rd verse. Ye shastra vidam utsrajya. What if you do not follow, you do not accept, you are ignorant of the scriptures? Yajante, but they worship. Sadhayan vitaha, they worship with faith. They believe in elders, they respect them, they consider him as your guru. So their faith is pretty deep. Tesam nishta tuka Krishna. What do you think is their status? How is this blind faith defined according to you? Sattvam aho rajastamaha. He's saying, is this going to be in the mode of goodness? Is this going to be in the mode of passion? Or is this going to be in the mode of ignorance? This is the question. And you may all be wondering, oh, what is the importance of this question to us? It is so important because all of us are faced with so many different kinds of faith, so many different kinds of gurus. Maybe they are genuine gurus, they may be pseudo gurus, we don't know. So after we understand, after we go through this chapter, what Krishna is saying to Arjuna, that also opens our eyes. When we try to follow any person as guru who is more blessed than us, we should try to analyze that, okay, is he coming from a parampara? How old is this institution? What scriptures are they referring to? Only then we have to make a choice. Today you have people who worship Sai Baba, you have people who worship Jagat Guru, Vasudev. We don't know. All may be genuine, some could be genuine, some may not be genuine. So to answer this question, now Krishna starts giving a fantastic discourse on this subject over the next 28 verses. And It starts, that's why this chapter is called Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Faith is described in such detail. Let's go to the next verse. Trivida bhavati shraddhaha dehinam sasvabhavaja satviki rajasi chaiva tamasi cheti tam shrunu. Now Krishna says, translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature, acquired by the embodied soul, Dehinam, one's faith can be of three kinds, Trividha, in goodness and passion or in ignorance. Now, hear about this, Tam Shrunu. So, Krishna is very clearly saying there are three types of faith. There are three types of, because the faith is influenced by the modes. Dehinam sa swabhavaja. Dehinam means all of us are in this body. We are the embodied devotees. But in this case, the reference is to a devotee who is not spiritually literate. Sa swabhavaja. Now, the emphasis on this entire verse is on swabhava. What is swabhava? It's nature. It's our faith. How do we understand our nature? How do we think? How do we respond? What are our what is our culture? What is the type of puja we adopt? What is our attitude? What is our motive? What is our mindset? What is our inclination? All these are defined by Swabhava. And nature is born of past karma too. It's not about what only we see in this life. Because Ravana was born to a Brahmana. But you all know Ravana was a Rakshasa. How is this possible? Even an atheist who says, I have no faith in the Lord, has some faith. And what is that faith? There is no God. So it is said, not seeing is not proof of non existence. But an atheist doesn't understand this. So even he has faith. Satviki, Rajasi, Jaiva. And that faith is governed by either mode of goodness, mode of passion, or mode of ignorance. Tamasi, Cheti Tamshrano. Now I will tell you this step by step. Listen to me carefully. With this, we go to the first verse or the third verse where Krishna starts describing what is faith. Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati bharata Shraddha mayoyam purusho yo yat shraddhasta evasa. Krishna says, one's particular faith is evolved according to one's existence under the three modes. One of the most important verses of this chapter. Translation. O son of Bharata, according to one's existence, under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. This is the first two lines. Then, read this. Both of them look so similar, It says, the living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. So both are interlinked, interconnected. In the last verse, Krishna had said, Trivida bhavati Shraddha Dehinam. All embodied beings are under the influence of threefold faith, and it is coming from their Swabhava. Now he continues. What is the role of faith? How it shapes us? He is giving us the first explanation. Sattvanurupa sarvasya. Sattva means our existence, our nature. It depends on our mind, our mindset. Sarvasya, of everyone. How do we understand the line? Sattvanurupa sarvasya. Everything about us is based on faith. So faith is intrinsic to us. It is like milk and water. Now, you may be wondering, oh, can you give me an example to explain what is this faith? Now, let's say we get into a flight. We get into a train. How strong, solid is our faith in the ability of the pilot and the train driver to take us to our destination? So we climb and we board the flight and sit with confidence. It is faith, intrinsic to us. We are so confident that these people are trained and they will take us home safely. Now, another example from the scriptures will show that it is not as easy as you think. Where is this faith coming from? Now, Hiranyakashipu was a demon, but he had Prahlada as his son. I mentioned to you, Ravana, a Rakshasa, was born to a Brahmana, Vikramasushi. We had two brothers, Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana. Imagine Ravana, Kumbhakarna, demon, Vibhishana, a devotee, all coming in the same family. So it's not the birth and the parentage which defines your faith. It is something more than that. Shraddha Bhavati Bharata. So this is how one's faith is determined, and you cannot keep parentage as a factor of comparison. Oh, we are born to the same parents, so we all should have the same faith. No. Shraddha Mayo Ayam Purusha. Every adult being, Jiva, Purusha, is product of childhood value. In fact, it is said, Shraddhamayo Yam Purusho. This is a very nice way to explain what this line stands for. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become a habit. Watch your habit, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. So this is so inbuilt into us, so intrinsic. Shraddhamayo Ayam Purusho. And where is this coming from? Yo yat Shraddha sa eva sa. It is coming from the childhood values, and slowly our personality will develop. So the core is defined in the childhood itself. So it is not just product of nature. Yes, we are born with it. It also defines our very essence. If I say I am Sham, I represent a certain faith. If I say I am Ramesha, I represent a certain faith. Both are unique. Now, how do we understand this? Let's take an example. Now, our children wish to go to US for higher studies. What is this based on? It is their faith. Because they have not gone to US, they don't know, but they have heard and they have made a decision, an impression, which says US is a better place to study and we can succeed better than in India. So they go to US. So the first step is the living in, being is said to be of a particular faith. So the children have decided US is better than India. Now, does faith take you to US? No. What does faith require? To deliver, you need conviction, you need action, you need work, you need to do all the things that are required to go to US. Then you have reached US. So your faith, based on your faith, you have reached US. Now, let's see, so far so good. But the modes also play a part after that. First step, going to US is based on faith. But what happens after you go to US? Some people settle down permanently. Very good. Some people say that, oh, well, I want to come back after 10 years. Now, what has changed? The modes have acted on him, and he has changed his faith to say that I want to come back to India. So this is how it keeps changing. Same mode of passion you went to US, but after some time, that mode of passion changed to mode of goodness or mode of ignorance. We don't know. He said, I want to come back to India. So this is how our life is intertwined, interlinked, and our faith keeps moving from the faith of a mode of ignorance, mode of passion, to mode of goodness. So we make our faith makes us. And what happens together? We make our faith. So it's so intrinsic. And if we understand our faith, we can understand what is that we need to do to improve and to have those divine qualities that Krishna has described. Srila Prabhupada says, this is a very important reference he gives. Here all we know part and parcels of Krishna. Prabhupada explains that love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of living entities. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kapunaya. Travanadi Shuddha Chitte Karaya Udaya. It is not something to be gained from another source. It is intrinsic. It is we are all born with that treasure. But when the heart, and how do we recognize this treasure? How do we bring it out? When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, this love naturally awakens. So love for Krishna is inborn, inbuilt, but it is hidden, conditioned by our conditioning. What we do by reading Gita, trying to follow a spiritual path, we try to purify ourselves and go back to that transcendental faith. So to go to the transcendental faith, the scriptures give us the path. Now, one more nice diagram to explain in simple words, what is this faith? We know that it is part of our character, it's part of our nature, our very existence is defined by faith. A little more understanding. So there are two aspects to this which we can describe. what we believe, and how we live. These two are a mirror to show what could be our faith or what could be our faith, how we connect with the world, object of worship. Why is that Jairam worship, let's say Ganesha, for example? I'm only taking an example, Jairam. Or Chetana worship Saraswati, but I worship Krishna. So we have some difference. All of us are Purusha, but we have a different object of worship. That comes from our faith. By choice. Now, let us take an example. Someone likes non-veg, but I don't like non-veg. I like veg. Why? Both of us need food to live and survive, but we make a choice. Sacrifice. I worship in a different way. You worship in a different way. Austerity. We we follow different kinds of austerities. I do Ekadashi today. I am fasting. Ramesha is fasting. I don't know how many of others are fasting, because our faith says if I'm able to offer this austerity to the Lord, Lord is pleased. So, what sacrifice we are planning to have, what austerity we are going to perform, that also shows us how we connect, how we contribute. Charity. There is Manava Seva, there is Madhava Seva. You can go and contribute to a hospital, school, all are good things. Or you can go and work in a temple, contribute to the cause of the temple. Both are the same. You have to decide what suits you. And we make a choice based on our faith. You go to the next verse. Yajante satvika devan yaksha raksham sirajasaha pretan bhuta ganam chanye yajante tamas describes the worship in different modes. Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods. Those in the mode of passion worship the demons. And those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. Very, very easy verse to understand. Now, it's not just about living beings, human beings. Even with animals, you can see the mode in action. How? All of us know that cow is revered, respected, because it lives its life in the mode of goodness. You give it grass, it gives you milk, and you that milk, and so the cow is a kamadhenu. Lion, passion, is the king of the jungle. It is known to rule the kingdom, the rule the forest by power. Monkey, ignorance. So even the animals you can see are under the modes of uh, are under the influence of the three modes. What is Krishna saying in this verse? He says, if your faith drives you, you are in the mode of goodness, then you will start worshipping demigods. If you are in the mode of passion, you will worship Yaksha. Now, who is Yaksha? For example, you take Kubera. Anyone who has been to Badrinath knows that that is one of the places where Kubera is present. And people go to Badrinath, pray to the Lord, and then also offer a coin to Kubera and bring it back. Because they know Kubera, as an Yaksha, is most generous. He will bless you with wealth. So we are in the mode of passion. We want money. Then we should plan a trip to Badrinath, offer obeisances to Kubera, seek his blessings, and come back with the blessing that, okay, I will be blessed with wealth. Now, this is worship in the mode of passion. There is a worship in the mode of ignorance. These people go and worship ghosts, priests, pretas. Why? Because of their faith. Let's move to the next verse. From here on, we will go through the verses. Verses are very easy to understand. And what is more important is how we can identify what is our faith. So Krishna is giving us the template, the formula by which we can say, oh, am I in the mode of goodness or am I in the mode of passion? And at every stage, we can ask ourselves this question. Now, I am teaching Gita. We are having this class. So when I do this, I'm in the mode of goodness. So far, so good. But where the complexity starts, why am I teaching Gita? And if you ask yourself this question, and you say, I want to teach Gita because I want to have a YouTube channel, I want to have 1 million subscribers, I want name, I want fame, then you are in the mode of ignorance. Your intention is in the mode of ignorance. So we should caution ourselves, we should correct ourselves and say that I must do this as part of my duty. It's like I'm breathing here. Krishna has said, spread my message. I only owe much. So teaching Gita, mode of goodness, intention, if it is trying to go towards ignorance and passion, control that and say that I want to be in the mode of goodness. I am teaching Gita because that is what Krishna wants us to do. That's how we should keep asking ourselves at every stage of what we are doing and what is our intention. So just the action will not give you the complete picture of your faith. What's your intention? What's your hidden idea, hidden agenda? So Krishna says you must have this transparency that I will not allow myself to be having an ulterior motive when I do some austerity. Let's go to the fifth verse. Ashastra vihitam ghoram तप्यन्ति ये तपो जनः दम्भांकार संयुक्तः कामराग बलान्वितः. Now this is demoniac austerity. We have seen what is divine in the first two verses, and now he is describing demoniac. And we will go through the story, and I don't have to tell you what Krishna is trying to say. This is Banasura. Translation. Those who undergo severe austerities and penances, not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, dambhankar samyuktaha, who are impelled by lust and attachment. Nice. This is again very easy verse to understand. It says, Ashastra vihitam goram. One, the austerity which is not described in the scriptures. I'm sure we have seen this many a time. Is this austerity? You are causing pain to your body. He says, this is not as per Shastra. This is ghoram, dreadful, harmful to others, cause pain to your body. And Krishna says, what is this leading to? You are getting further and further bound in this material world. Pyante ye tapo janaha. Do not do these horrible austerities. They are frightful, they are awful. And what is your motive for that? Dambhankara samyukta. You are doing this for arrogance and pride. Do not do this. Kamaraga balambita. So your entire focus of doing this, you want to show that you have a strong body, you have a strong will, and you can sustain pain. Because Krishna says, if you are doing this, you are only motivated by desire and attachment. You are not doing this to please me, and this is not going to bring you closer to me. This is only to satisfy your ego. You want to show the world that you are something great. So, no, I mentioned the story, Bhasmasura. That is the story, and we all know the story. We have heard this so many times. So, what did Bhasmasura do? He was a devotee. He is in the mode of goodness. He offers the most uh, tough penance to Shiva and says, "Oh Shiva, if you are pleased with my austerity, please give me my boon." So Shiva says, "What boon do you want?" Bhasmasura says, "Give me immortality. I don't want to die." Shiva says, "Sorry, I am not qualified to give you immortality. You can ask me anything else other than that." Then Bhasmasura says, "Okay, let me think. Okay, give me this boon which says where I put my head on someone's head and that person is burned to ashes. That is why it's called Bhasma. That person becomes Bhasma." Shiva says, "Are you sure you want this boon?" He says, "Yes." So it says, "Okay, granted." The moment he is granted, you see, the mode of goodness, the austerity, respect for Shiva, everything melts away because he is overtaken by Dambhankara, Kamaraga Balamita. He says, "Shiva, I want to test this on you. If I keep it on your head and you die and you are burnt to ashes, then I can enjoy with Parvati." This is the motive behind him, Kamaraga Balamita. Looking at this, Shiva says, "I will not allow you to keep it on my head." And he starts running. And there is a chase. Bhasmasura chases Shiva and Shiva runs for dear life. He reaches Vaikuntha. He prays to Krishna and says, "Oh Vishnu, please save me." Vishnu says, "Shiva, you should be very careful about what boons you give." Then he says, "Okay, anyway, since you have come here, I have to help you. I will." He takes the avatar of Mohini, goes and confronts Bhasmasura. And she's so beautiful, Bhasmasura is attracted. And he says, "Will you marry me?" And Mohini says, "I will marry you if you are my match. I am the best dancer in the world. Can you match me step to step?" And Bhasmasura says, "I am a demon. I have got this power. I can do what I want." And then she puts him into that mode and trance of dancing. And while dancing, she quietly keeps her head on her head. Bhasmasura follows that and he's burnt to ashes. This is exactly what we should avoid, Krishna says. He says, this is demoniac austerity. Do not torture yourself. He continues, Darshan yatah sharirastam bhut gramam acetasaha mam chaivantah sharirastam. I have underlined the word mam. Tan vidhi asura nischayan. So he continues. What is the translation? Those who undergo severe austerities and penances, who are foolish and who torture the material elements of the body, as well as the super soul dwelling within, are to be known as demons. So, what is Krishna saying here? Darshayantaha, you are torturing your body. You are, the pain is not going to improve your health, it is only going to make it worse. Your body is going to be weak. Gramam Ajetasaha. Bhuta means organs, Grama means group of organs. All the internal organs that we have are being abused. Chetasaha, you are being unintelligent. You are not really being smart by going through this austerity. And he says, it is not only you're torturing your body, he says, Mam Chaivanta Sharirastam, I am within you as Paramatma, you are torturing me too. I can feel your pain and I am not happy to go through this. Iti Asuran Nishchayan. He says, please do not have this violent austerities. This is coming to, this is your demoniac tendency. Try to avoid this. You're not going to come closer to me. There is a nice story in Ramayana. We are all waiting for 22nd Jan. I thought I must take a story from Ramayana. So this is the story of Shambuka. So Lord Ram has come back to kingdom. He is now ruling the whole empire with peace after the war with Ravana, destroying him. And when he is in his court, there is a Brahmana who walks in and he's carrying a dead body of his son. He comes to the court of Rama and says, I am very, very disturbed. I am shattered. How can this happen? When I am alive, my son is dead. Imagine in those days, in Satyuga, it was that uh, you, if you follow, if the king and the ruler follows the dharma, you will never have such instances happening. If at all something happens like this, you can straight away come to the king and say, "Oh, king, there is some adharma happening in your kingdom." Just imagine. And Rama is puzzled, bewildered. He says, "How can this be possible? How did your son die before you?" When he looks towards his sages who advise him, counsel him, Narad Muni is also there. Then he says, I think so. Yes, there is some Shudra who is doing an austerity in the kingdom, and as a result of which this Brahmana has lost his son." Rama becomes angry. He says, I will not allow this to happen in my kingdom. And he boards his Pushpak Viman and goes around his kingdom trying to find out who is that Asura, who is that Shudra doing this austerity. And he meets this Shambhuka. And he asks him, what are you trying to do? He's performing great penance. And Shambhuka says, well, I want to please the Lord. And he doesn't say this. He said, I'm in an austerity. I am a Shudra. Yes, I'm performing this. Why? Because I want to enjoy. And whom I want to enjoy? Parvati. Imagine, he's trying to directly even look at Shiva's wife and says, I want to aim for her. And Rama understands this and he says, I will not allow this. You should offer austerities only for good cause. I will not allow this to happen. And he beheads the Sudra, Shambhuka. So, and imagine, as soon as he does that, Hamna's son gets back his life. So this is the power of mode of goodness. And this is how the Lord comes himself to uphold Dharma. So he's saying, you may be, yes, you may perform austerity, you may get a boon, but then you will meet with a gory end because I will not allow such austerities to be. Let's go to the next verse. Aharastu api sarvasya trivido bhavati priyaha yajnastapastata danam tesam vedam imam shrunu. Now he touches upon the four behavioral aspects: food, sacrifice, austerity, charity. And he says all of them are in the three modes. Even the food each person prefers is of three kinds, according to the three modes of material nature. How many of us knew this before reading this verse. The same is true of sacrifices, austerities, and charity. Now, here of the distinctions between them. So he starts by giving the overview of the chapter here. He says, Aharastva api sarvasya. So the food, which is a common factor for any living being, any animal, any living, any jiva, has to eat food to survive. He says, Trivido bhavati bharata. Even the food, which is so dear to a living being, because he has to live, are governed by the three modes: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Trivido bhavati priyaha. He says, Yagnas tapastata danam. Similarly, yagya, pa, dana are also governed by the three modes. And what is the difference? Tesam Vedam. What is the difference between them? Imam Shunu. Please listen to me. I will explain it to you. So now we come to the second lesson, aspects of lifestyle. We'll go through up to 16th verse and stop there. So what is the split of verses? He described food in the verses 8, 9, and 10. Yagya, worship, in 11, 12, and 13. And tapaha, that is austerity, we will only stop which organ that we use to perform the austerity today, or else it will become too long to cover. Here we go. Start with ahara. Again, this chapter is quite easy to understand, easy flow. But what is important is understand what is the distinction and the difference that Krishna is pointing out to Arjuna. Ayu sattva bala rogya sukha priti vivardhanaha rasya snigdha stira hrudaya ahara sattvika priya. Foods in the mode of goodness. And I don't have to show or I don't have to describe. If you see all these fruits here, you can realize that they are they are food in the mode of goodness. Foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, nutty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. So just imagine if I had given you a bowl of fruit, we would have consumed it, enjoyed the taste, and forgotten about it. But Krishna is saying this fruits, this food can also be described in such great detail. And our culture, our scripture is so great that even a mundane task like eating has been converted to an austerity. You can offer worship to the Lord by offering the food that you cook at home as bhoga to the Lord. Keep it in front of him for 5 minutes, and when you consume it, it becomes prasada. So even food is the way of an offer to the Lord. So eating becomes a yajna. That is the what you can say, the phenomenal depth of our scriptures. And why is food so important? If you see in the 15th chapter, Krishna has mentioned this. He says, Aham Vaishnavanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha Pranapana Samyuktaha Pachami Annam Turvidham. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities. I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of food. So, Krishna is sitting within us, and all the food that we eat is digested by His grace. We should be careful as to what kind of food we eat. Either you eat food which is easy on your health, or you eat food which is going to cause you trouble as we go to the next two verses. What is he describing? How is he describing the food in the mode of goodness? He says, Ayu, which is longevity, Sattva means mental health, mental strength, Bala is strength, physical strength, Arogya, overall health. So we have a duty to take care of our body. So he says, if you have food in this mode of goodness, it will give you these four strengths. Sukha, Priti, Vivardhanaha. Sukha means emotional effect. After a good meal, we all feel satisfied. Particularly if you have something, some dish which you like, you relish it. Krishna says, the food that you choose should give you that emotional happiness, internal relaxation, mental comfort. So you should feel relaxed after your meal. That is Sukha Priti Vivardhanaha. What are the kind of food he is now describing? Rasya. Rasya means juicy, sweet, delicious. Snigdha, fatty. It was made out of oil, ghee, deep fried stuff. Chira, enduring, nourishing physically. Shrudya, pleasing to the heart. Ahara sattvika priya. These food are these which are which meets the description here are food in the mode of goodness. And another thing we should be cautious to note is we should always obtain food by fair means. Do not try to create shortcuts. So nyayahara, then whatever you cook at home, offer it to the Lord, it becomes naivahara. And whenever we eat, try to eat within control. Do not overeat. It is called mitahara or uktahara. Now he goes to, there is another very important thing that is mentioned in Chandogya Upanishad. I thought I must share this. Here in this Upanishad, this verse says, why should we have pure food? Because it says, from purity of food comes purity of mind. From purity of mind comes constant remembrance of God. From constant remembrance of God, one becomes free from bondage and becomes liberated. So the choice of food that we make is also important. I don't have to show or I don't have to describe. By looking at this, you can understand I am going to describe food in the mode of passion. Tatvam lajavadati ushna tikshna ruksha vidahinah ahara rajasaschesta kamya pradaha. Foods in the mode of passion. What are their characteristics? Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such food cause distress, misery, and disease. Dukha shokamaya pradha. So Krishna says, please choose your food carefully. Tatva, tatvam, it is bitter, it is sour. Lavana is salty. The ushna, we can imagine it is very hot. Don't know how many of you know, if you go to Andhra, which is a state in India, many people have green chilies along with food. And they eat chilies like we eat cucumber. They don't really feel it is hot. If I and you were to try it by mistake, we will be having water flowing through eyes, nose, everywhere. But they seem to enjoy it. So Krishna says, be careful. Do not try to get yourself accustomed to such hot, pungent food. Because what they do, this type of burning food, it can corrode your internal organs. Please remember that ahara rajasasyesta, these are the food are dear to the people of passion. Only if you are passion, you would choose such food. I would not choose eating green chili with my meal, come what may, because that is my outlook. I feel I don't want to suffer by that uh, bitterness. Dukha shokamaya prada. Now, by chance, you have got used to this food. He says, what does this give you? What is the reward? You will be blessed with tears because when you have such hot things, your eyes will start watering. That is something which is temporary. He says when it goes inside, it causes you dukkha, distress, shokha, misery, and so that it can give you many kinds of diseases. We go to the next one. Again, look at this, you can understand what is Krishna going to describe. Foods in the mode of ignorance. Yata yamam gatarasam uti paryushitam chayat. You can hear me, na?
Prabhuji, you have stopped sharing screen.
Now we can hear you, but for a moment we lost connection, I think.
Okay. You can hear me now? You can see the slide also?
But we are not able to see the screen.
Okay, okay. What happened suddenly? Okay. Let me go back to share screen then. Share screen. Advanced. Portion of the screen. Share. You can see now?
Now,
trying to
yeah,
see.
now we can.
Okay.
I can.
So let's continue. Sorry for this thing. Food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten. Food that is tasteless, decomposed, and putrid, and food consisting of remnants, untouchable things, is dear to those in the mode of darkness. Now, how many of us know that scriptures define food as stale if it is more than 3 hours old? That is the strict standards of cooking our scriptures talk about. Yamam means the measurement of time, which is 1 yamam is 3 hours. So he says, Yata yamam gata rasam. If the food is more than 3 hours old, it is not considered as fresh food. It is considered to have been stored for a long time. This is as per the scriptures. Because in the scriptures, it is said, your home is a temple and you have to offer food or prasad, bhoga to the Lord every more frequently than you eat. If you go to any temple, you will observe, particularly if you go to Jagannath Puri, he has food more than 8 times a day. The Lord, he is the supreme enjoyer. And he says, you must feed me to make me happy at home. But let us say we can't do that. Now our house is not a temple. At best, what we can do, we have breakfast, or let's say you start with your coffee, tea, or milk. Offer milk to the Lord. You have breakfast, offer it to the Lord first before you eat. You have lunch, offer it to the Lord before you eat. So at least 4 meals you are given to the Lord. So he says, my standard as per scriptures is anything over 3 hours is considered old. Gatarasam, it is overcooked food. Don't cook it so much that all the nutrients are lost. It becomes nourishment-less. Don't try to overcook. Tuti paryushitam chayat. Tuti means food which is foul smelling because it's old. It is kept for a long time. Do not offer such food. Durgandha yuktam. They are smelling. Paryushitam. Food that is kept overnight. Either you can keep it inside the fridge or outside the fridge. The yardstick is the same. Paryushitam. Food that is kept overnight. It is not to be encouraged. Try to avoid that. System api chamedhyam. We have this habit that you take portion which you cannot eat. So what you will do, you will eat half of it and keep the balance in the fridge. System. It says, please avoid these things. If you want to have uchista, you can have uchista. That is tasted food by your spiritual master, powered by the Lord. It is okay. But do not try to keep what you taste in the morning. Don't keep it in the fridge and eat in the night. Bhojanam tamasa priyam. If you do this, then you are in the mode of ignorance. So quick summary, try
Yeah,
to
Krishna,
choose.
Sham, it is Yata Yama. Okay, Yata means Gaya. Yata.
Okay.
Not
Yata yama.
Yatha. Yata,
Okay.
Yata. And
No
I
problem.
think all that should be given to the all restaurants, cook more than 3 hours later on. None of the restaurants will serve you. That's Taja.
Even the better half at home will say that, 3 hours is a too stringent yardstick. I can't
Yeah,
eat that.
better you say that than me. Thank you. Thank you.
So, quick summary, try to choose food in the mode of goodness. How do I identify them? Wholesome, juicy, pleasant. What does it give you as benefit? Long life, purification, strength. You are disease free. You are happy. Passion. Don't go after this bitter, sour, hot, pungent, burning food because the reward is only distress, misery, disease. Ignorance is you eat old, tasteless, decomposed food that also will result in misery. Now we move to the second behavioral aspect, that is sacrifice. So Krishna describes that sacrifice also can be in the mode of three, or can be in the three modes. Let's go to the 11th verse. फलकांक्षिभिर्यज्ञो इति दृष्टो य इज्यते यस्तव्यम् एवेति मनः समाधाय स सात्विकः. Sacrifice, yajna, in the mode of goodness. How do we identify that the sacrifice that we are offering is in which mode? Krishna says, of sacrifices, the sacrifice performed according to the directions of the scripture. That is the benchmark. That is the yardstick. That is the framework. As a matter of duty, by those who desire no reward, is of the nature of goodness. Underline this. Do not have a desire for reward. Then it becomes contaminated. Try to, the whole journey of spirituality is moving from selfishness to selflessness. There is nothing that which belongs to us. Everything belongs to the Lord. Try to be in that mode. Upalakankshibir yatno. Do not. Phala means result. Apala means I don't want to expect any results for whatever I am going to do. Iti dishto ya idyate. I will perform that sacrifice as per the scriptures. I will follow it to the last word. I will not have my own interpretations. That is, iti dishto ya idyate. Yastavyam meveti manaha. I will do it as a matter of duty because this is what is expected of me. Do it selflessly. The moment you have a material reward attached to it, then it is not being offered to the Lord in the mode of goodness. Samadhaya satvikaha. This is the yajna sacrifice in the mode of goodness. Just to repeat the example, I am speaking on Gita. Yes, this is on an auspicious day of Ekadashi. This is certainly an activity in the mode of goodness, but where I should be cautious, where I should control my mode of passion and ignorance to come into play. I am doing this as a duty. I do not want any applause. I do not want any accolade. I do not want anything in return. I have to say this to myself n number of times so that I do not get into the clutches of mode of passion and mode of ignorance. So whenever we do anything which is as per the scriptures, act is mode of goodness, but intention, reward expectation gets into the mode of passion and ignorance. We have to be cautious. We have already gone through this verse. Let's go to the next verse. Now this is sacrifice in the mode of passion. Abhisandhaya tu phalam dambhartam apichayvayat idyate bharatashreshtha ham yagnam vidhi rajasam. Sacrifice in the mode of passion. How do we understand that this is a mode of passion sacrifice? But the sacrifice performed for some material benefit or for the sake of pride. O chief of Bharatas, you should know to be in the mode of passion. Very easy to understand. Abhisandaya tu phalam. You are attached to fruit. Now, it's like saying, I want to do Navagraha Shanti. Why I want to do Navagraha Shanti? Because I am going through a lot of miserable things at home. So, the start itself is in the mode of passion. I want to do austerity. Yes, there is some goodness in it, but I am very clear I'm going to do this because I want benefit of freedom from misery. Krishna says, the moment you start thinking like this, you are getting into the mode of passion. First step itself, you have to control. Dhambartam apichayvayat. Why are you doing this? Because there are other neighbors who did it and they have benefited. So let me also do it. No, this is not a matter of comparison. Yajyate Bharata Shrestha, O chief of the Bharatas, if one does yajna with an attachment to the result, tam yagnam vidhi rajasam, then either you're attached to the result or you're attached to the doership. It's like saying that, oh, he did Satnarayan Puja and he invited only 10 people for prasadam. I will do Satnarayan Puja and I will invite 500 people. Now, what are you trying to achieve? You're trying to say that I want to show off. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want to be remembered as this guy did the best Satnarayan Puja in the society. So Krishna says, the moment you have attached to the doership and the result, you are in the mode of passion. Avoid that. We'll go to the next one. Vidihinam strastanam mantrahinam adakshinam Shraddha Vinahitam Yagnam Tamasam Parichakshate. Sacrifice in the mode of ignorance. Any sacrifice performed without regard for the directions of scriptures. The moment it is not as per the scriptures, you are crossing into the red zone. Without distribution of prasadam, it's a must. Without chanting of Vedic hymns and remunerations to the priest, you have to offer dakshina. And without faith, is considered to be in the mode of ignorance. Vidihinam astranam, sacrifice performed without directions of scriptures. So I want to do Navagraha Shanti. I want to do Satyanarayan Puja. Now, at the end of Satyanarayan Puja, it is said you must read the Katha. But I'll say I'm very busy. I have someone to meet. So I will do the puja and I will not do the Katha. Either you uh, hear the Katha yourself or at least you listen to the Katha. So he says, as per the scripture means you have to go to the last dot. You cannot say I will do it, but I will not do, or I will ignore certain part of it because of my own convenience. That is not acceptable. Mantrahinam. Now you cannot say that, oh, if I chant all the mantras for Satyanarayan Puja, it takes 3 hours. So I will only chant few. I'll finish it in half an hour. He says mantrahinam. That is not considered as Satyanarayan Puja without chanting of Vedic hymns. If you chant, you must chant completely. Udachinam, without remuneration to the priest. Now, many a times, penny wise found foolish. You have created or you have offered the puja to the Lord, and the Brahmana is the representative of the Lord. He comes to your house, he performs the puja. It is your duty to offer him remuneration because he is dependent on that dakshina for his livelihood. And dana to a Brahmana is considered as most auspicious. So he says, do not try to perform an austerity, I sacrifice without remuneration to the priest, and be generous. Shraddha virahitam. What happened? Shraddha virahitam yatnam. Do this with full faith. Tamasam parikshate. If parichakshate, if you are doing all these things, any of these steps is missed, then you are only doing this for namesake. It is sacrifice in the mode of ignorance. With this, a quick summary: sacrifice in the 3 modes. Goodness, what is the framework? It should be as per scripture. Do not have that urge, that motive, that desire. Oh, I have to be appreciated. There is no appreciation required because the appreciation comes from the Lord as a matter of duty for no reward. Passion. Do not attach an expectation, a result when you perform that puja. Don't do it for pride. You are not to be counted as one of the best puja performers in your society. Ignorance. Ignorance is the worst thing that you can have. I want to do a puja, but I will ignore what is there in the scripture. I am supposed to offer dakshina, I will not offer dakshina. I am supposed to completely chant the Vedic hymns, I will not chant completely. Why? I have no time. All these are symptoms of sacrifice in the mode of ignorance. Going to the last section. This is austerity. And the austerity, Krishna talks about what organ that we are going to use for our performing this austerity. First one, Deva Dvija Guru Prajna, Pujanam, Taucham Arjavam, Brahmacharyam, Ahimsacha, Shariram, Tapa Uchyate. This is austerity of the body. Austerity of the body consists in the worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and superiors like father, mother, and in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. So he's trying to tell us what is that austerity when you how do you perform the austerity of the body and what are the guidelines for that? Now, what is tapaha? Yes, we all understand it is austerity. So there are 2 definitions. Shankaracharya says, whenever you offer pain to your body, sharira pida, then voluntarily it is called tapasya. Now, when you do Ekadashi, we are uh, fasting from grains. So we can't have a full meal. So your stomach is half full. That is giving some amount of discomfort to your body. Now, how do you understand discomfort? Let's say I switch off the fan for 10 minutes. We'll start sweating. Oh, we'll say, oh, I can't tolerate it. No AC. You cannot even think of it. So these are things which you should get used to if you are going to offer austerity to the Lord in the mode of goodness. Do not be governed by whether there is fan, there is AC, there is comfort, there is not comfort, because your faith is important. Second meaning is it's a discipline. Now, for example, getting up early in the morning. It's a tapa because you get up in the Brahma Muhurta and chant. You are offering that austerity through the body, and the Lord like that. So he says, if you offer this from your body without having, uh, without, let's say, as a discipline, do it regularly. Now it's like saying, I will get up on a Sunday and chant 16 rounds, or I'll get up on Sunday and perform Ganpati Homa. No. There are 7 days in a week and we have to do it consistently. So choose what you can do regularly. So there are three ways of offering the austerity. This is the body. The next verse will be our speech. And the last will be our mind. So what is the austerity of the body? Deva, Vija, Guru, Prajna. You have to worship Deva, Supreme Lord, any of our Devatas. Vija means the Brahmana. Now, why is he called Dvija? Because he has two births. One is when he is born, and one when he becomes scripturally literate. Now, when we all go through our thread ceremony, we are called twice born. Dvija. A Brahmana is recognized after he is able to read the scripture. Guru. And Guru could be our spiritual master, our parents, our elders. All of them we have to offer austerity through our body. Why do we offer obeisances when we meet elders? Because we want to seek their blessings. Prajna. Prajna is the man who is scripturally literate. In fact, Chanakya Pandit says, if you are a powerful king or a powerful industrialist, you are recognized only in your circle. But if you are powerful in knowledge, then you are recognized across the world because knowledge is so important. Offer pujanam, offer your worship to these four people. How do you offer that? Saucham, be clean, externally, internally. And what is the purpose of this puja? If you remember, or if you recollect, when we go to a temple early in the morning, what does it do? Yes, you pray to the Lord, you offer obeisances, fair. You are mentally very happy. Apart from that, there is also something which is beneficial to your body. Our old temples used to be, so large that one pradakshina around the temple may be half a kilometer or 1 kilometer. And if there are 3 or 4 deities in the temple and you offer sastang pranams 3 or 4 times, you have done Surya Namaskar. So your body is also taken care of. So that's the reason why you should offer puja and offer it in the temple if possible, so that your health is also taken care of. Maintain cleanliness, internal, external. Arjavam, be simple, be transparent, do not have an hidden agenda. Brahmacharyam ahimsa cha. Try to follow celibacy and non-violence. Celibacy till the right age. If you are a 25-year-old kid, up to 25 years, try to be celibate. Do not try to get into a grosthashrama before you are married. And non-violence, ahimsa. Practice that. Uh, no, it's a discipline. I will not hurt others. I will not cause injury to others. It comes from within. It's compassion. Try to cultivate that. Shariram tapa uchyate. In the earlier verses, Krishna used to say, Kama Krodha. Now he's saying Brahmacharya Ahimsa. How you can control Kama? By Brahmacharya. How can you control your Krodha? By Hamsa. Shariram tapa uchyate. This is how you can offer austerity to the Lord through your body. So 5 things: you worship, be clean, be aligned, be simple, be transparent, try to follow celibacy, ahimsa, harmless, no violence to others. These are the guidelines for offering austerity using our body. Next is types of austerity. Speech. Very important words. When we speak, most of the times we are not sensitive. So Krishna says how we should offer austerity through speaking. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priya hitam chayat svabhayadya swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva vanamayam tapa uchyate. Austerity of the speech. How do you speak? Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, Do not lie. Pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others, and also in regularly reciting Vedic literature. So he says, Anudvega. Don't use words which cause hurt or injure other person. Satyam. Try to speak the truth as far as possible. Priya. Be pleasing. Use soft words. Hitam. Beneficial. Generally, it is nice to say, may I, can I, please, thank you, sorry. These are all the words of trying to be pleasing, and these are beneficial mutually, both to the speaker and to the audience. Swadhyaya. Try to study the scriptures daily. Maybe one line of Gita in a day, not one verse. Try to make it, cultivate as a habit. Abhyasanam, practice, very important. An austerity of speech has to be practiced. Austerity of body has to be practiced. Only then you will make it fruitful. If not, it will be in fits and bounds. Go to the last verse of the day. So practice these four conditions. So whenever we are addressing someone, try to keep these four things in mind. Now comes the most difficult thing of three. You can try to follow austerity of the body, try to follow austerity of speech. Now Krishna says you must also practice austerity of the mind. He says, Mana prasada saumyaptam, maunam atma vinigraha, bhava samshuddhi etat, tapo manasam uchyate. Austerity of the mind and satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purifications of one existence are the austerities of the mind. Now, as I said, body and speech. Body is gross. Now we can discipline it. Speech is, yes, it is part of the subtle body, but then we still can think, practice it. But controlling the mind is the most important thing, most difficult thing. Can I tell my mind not to go elsewhere today? Even while I'm talking, the mind wants to go and see something else outside. That is Chanchala Mana Krishna. Our mind is so Chanchala. Krishna says, try to practice even the austerity of the mind. Mana Prasada. Try to, when you practice this, keep your mind satisfied. Try to keep away from stress and strain. Do not have too much of expectations from the outside world. Saumyatvam. Try to have transparent dealings. Don't have duplicity. Don't say something or you say something, think something else. Don't try to avoid that. Simplicity, saumyatham, gentleness of thought, because gentle thoughts lead to gentle words and actions. If you use harsh words, the mode of passion will come through and it can be seen in your actions. If you follow this, then your mind will have fear, pleasantness. There will be a sense of love, compassion, joy. You can radiate this if your mind is in control. That is why he says, Manaprasada Saumyatvam. Practice gentleness. Maunam, mental silence. Noisy mind is a disturbed mind. Try to control your mind. Try to calm down your mind. So, what is Maunam? Gravity. Try to control the flow of negative thoughts. Try to be reflective. There are a lot of things which are negative in this world. Try to only think of the positive so that your mind is Atma Vinigraha. You can control your mind. You can practice this discipline if you encourage your mind to be calm, discourage unhealthy thoughts. Do not see a movie of violence. Do not see a movie of ghost because your mind is going to get agitated. See a movie which is give you peace of mind. So whatever we do, whenever we engage our mind, try to see these are followed. Bhava samshuddhir. Bhava means motive. Your motive should be pure, samshuddhi, purity. Bhava samshuddhi means purity of motive. Why am I doing this? Why I am thinking like this? That is the defining factor. Tapo manasam uchyate. If you are able to follow this, you are able to try to control your mind, then he says this is austerity of the mind. Now, these are all motherhood statements, look very easy to talk. So Prabhupada says in his purport, he says, to make the mind austere is not easy. Now, I will also tell you how to do it or how to try to do it. He says, first step, detach from sense gratification. Now, I like sweet. Now, I start eating, one gulab jamun a day or a week is fine. But I can't eat gulab jamun every 10 seconds or 10 minutes. It leads to a lot of health problems. So, taste, yes, I must indulge. I must eat, but within control. And how that control comes? By telling your mind, if I eat too much, it will lead to obesity. It could lead to diabetes, etc., etc. So the best training of the mind is gravity in thought. Try to read scriptures, try to be in the mode of goodness. And if you say that I am doing this for Krishna, then that is Krishna consciousness. You're not doing anything out of the world. You wake up, you study, you chant, you speak, you say that I'm doing this for Krishna. The moment you have Krishna in between you and the world, you will see a different yourself. That is what is the path that Prabhupada says, try to follow. You will be able to control your mind. This, we have come to the end of part one. A quick recap. So we have learned what is faith and worship. We have seen what are the various aspects of life. Krishna talks about ahara, talks about sacrifice, talks about austerity. We have only done part of it. We will see the balance in the next class, dana, and enjoyer of everything. This, I have come to the end. What is the time? It is 6:20. Okay. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
What's the name of the chapter in Sanskrit, Shyamji?
Traya Vibhaga Yoga.
Satkritya. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chaitanya. I see your message. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Danvat Pranam. I see Shamchandra Prabhu is also there. Thank you very much for joining. Did you find the flow easy? It's not very difficult in terms of understanding the shlokas. This is what I feel.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Isn't it?
Yes, yes. Pretty straightforward verses. There's no deeper meaning and
exactly.
I mean, not much. So it's pretty straightforward to understand. If you can go to number 12, where he no, not slide number 12, the slide that relates to shloka number 12.
Shloka number 12. Okay. So 15. What happened?
Where he says performing yajna with
this one.
a goal in mind. This one.
Yeah. What is your question?
Not a question as such, Prabhuji, but I don't know if it applies to today's times. But earlier, when Rajas used to perform yajnas for the benefit of the people of their kingdom, they didn't have a selfish, they wouldn't have a selfish goal there. For example, even now, some in some areas, drought affected areas, people perform yajnas to invoke the rain gods. So this is for the greater good.
Yes. See, that is what is this? This the whole the way to understand this is there is one which is for a greater cause, for larger good, and another is for personal good and personal cause.
So that is what I was it's just an observation. It was not a question as such.
Okay.
So when a Raja cannot sit himself and perform the yajna. So obviously he will have to delegate it to a learned person, a Brahman, and get it done.
Right.
And he would, a good administrator would consider it his duty to perform such yajnas in the interest of his kingdom, in the interest
Right.
of the prosperity of his people.
Correct.
So I don't know where I'm not able to put it clearly.
Okay.
But he was obviously he would have been thinking of the benefit that this yajna would give to his people. He didn't have any selfish, he wouldn't have any selfish interest in mind. So would that not be sattva, um, a yajna performed in the sattvic sense?
Any yajna is in the mode of goodness. That's the first starting point. Because you're thinking of pleasing the Lord, offering it to the Lord. So there is an element of goodness in that. Now, a Raja is also Raja Rushi because he is the person on whom the whole kingdom is looking forward to. He is a spiritual master for all his citizens. And he also has a duty that he has to govern, he has to look after. If there is a drought, he has to provide solutions to that. That one, it could be materially, giving away all the grains that he has stored in the store that is materially possible, or he has to perform an yajna to evoke the rain god Indra so that his kingdom is benefited. So when he does that, he is looking at it from a larger perspective.
Yes, that is what I was driving at.
And there is also a defined problem. Now, for example, you may have drought, or you may have less rain, or you may have severe heat in your part of the kingdom. People are dying because of heat stroke. There is shortage of water. So all these miseries in the scriptures, it's very clearly said. If your kingdom is going through such pain, then you must offer a sacrifice to this Lord.
Yes.
So, what is the second framework of a mode of goodness yajna? You're following as per the scriptures. So, common good, larger good. You're in the mode of goodness. You're thinking of the benefit of others. You're not saying, I want to be the greater king than what I am today. Then it becomes mode
Yes.
of passion.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so he's not doing for that. He says, I am doing this yajna, so bring some relief, a solution through the
Yes.
blessings of the Lord.
Correct.
So it is with a desire for reward, but the reward is not personal. It is not selfish reward.
Yes.
It is again selfless because
Huh.
you are going, let's say in your kingdom, there are 10 million people. And if 10 million people are going to be benefited, Krishna says, then that is an yajna in the mode of
In the
goodness.
mode of goodness, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It is not in the mode of passion.
Okay. Okay.
The
Okay.
moment
So
you
even
say,
if
I
it
will
is a
perform
Raja
this,
performing, even if it is a Raja performing or having it performed,
right.
we will still say Raja is performing because obviously he cannot sit at the sacrificial fire. So
Many a time,
it is still a yajna performed in the mode of
see,
goodness.
there are many
And he's
places
thinking,
where Raja and Rani sit in the yajna. That is also allowed.
huh.
Now, I'll give you an example. We had a new office and there was a Ganesh Puja being done. And then the office asked who would be willing to sit along with the Pandit to offer the puja. And I have shifted 3 offices when I was in Bombay. And I just innocently raised my hand and said, I would like to offer the puja. And they gave it to me. So now I was not, in terms of position, I am not anyway equal to the head of the office. I am just an officer. But I had faith and I had a desire. And they said that is what is representation. So that I am not, when I sit in the yajna, I am not sitting as myself. And, sorry, I heard something.
Yeah,
So,
my fault. I muted.
sorry. So I am sitting in that yajna on behalf of all of us, all the office staff. So similarly, Raja is performing the yajna on behalf of all his citizens. It's like giving the power of attorney. So you have
Correct.
nominated him to perform this
Yeah.
yajna on behalf of all of us.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you, Chaitanya. If there are no questions, then I'll end the session. All of us will enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful evening.